Hello class, for today's lesson is about problem solving and interpretation of direct variation. And here are the learning targets. 1. I can solve problems involving direct variation. 2. I can interpret and explain the meaning of my solutions in the context of real-life situations. For our first problem, Anna is printing handouts for her class. The total cost of printing is directly proportional to the number of pages. If she paid 60 pesos for 20 pages, how much will she pay for 35 pages? Now, going back to the form of the direct variation, so we have y varies directly as x. And remember that we could also read this as y equals k times x, or y is directly proportional to x. So based on this, it is actually similar to what we have here, directly proportional. So with that, we can conclude that the cost of printing here is our y, and the number of pages is our x. Now, based on the given, by the way, it is not just limited to y and x for the variables. We could also have here cost of printing, so we could just write c, and also for number of pages, so we could just write p. So let's try this one without relying too much on y and x. So base here we have c equals k. Again, we still need to use k because k is the constant of each variation. So c equals k times p, or c varies directly as p. Now, based on our given here, we have for c, for the cost, so we have 60 pesos. And for the p is 20 pages. Based on our given, our first step is to substitute it based on the form of the problem. Now our c is 60 equals k times 20. And again, our k should have a coefficient of 1, so we need to divide both sides by 20. So divide this by 20, divide this by 20. So cancel, cancel, and we are left with k. And 20 divided by, or 60 divided by 20 is 3. So this is the value of our constant. Now, we have a second or additional problem here based on additional part of the problem on how much will she pay for 35 pages. So what is being asked now is the new c, or the cost of the given. So based on what we have, c is missing because that is what is being asked. K, we have, or the constant is 3, and the number of pages, or p, is 35. So again, our form is c equals k times p. So we could just directly substitute the value of k and p. So c equals 3 times 35, and 3 times 35 is 105. Now based on this, the cost of 35 pages is 105 pesos. And this is our answer. For a second problem, we have a car rental company charges directly with the number of days you rent. If renting a car for 4 days cost 6,000 pesos, how much would it cost for 10 days? Now, based here are given. So we have days. Where is the highlighter? We have days here, and days and cost. So basically, cost is dependent to the number of days as a car being rented. So we could just label this by for days as D, and for cost, of course, is C. Now, again, days is our independent variable, so it should go with K, and C is our dependent variable. So we could write it like this. So C is equal to KD. Now, based on the first given, the value of C is 6,000 pesos. So we write here 6,000 equals K times the value of D, or days, is 4. So divide both sides by 4 in order for us to have a coefficient of 1. So 4 and 4. Now cancel. So we are left with K. Now 6,000 divided by 4 is 1,500. So this is the value of our constant. Now, in the second part of our problem, it is asking on how much would it cost. So again, this is a new C that is being asked for 10 days. Now, writing the new form of the direct variation of the situation. So we have here C equals the value of K is 1,500, and the value of D now, or the number of days, is 10. So all we need to do is to multiply. So the value of C is 1,500 times 10 is 15,000. Okay, so that means it would cost 15,000 pesos for 10 days. Problem number 3. The brightness of a light bulb is directly proportional to the voltage applied. If a light bulb shines with 80 units of brightness at 20 volts, what will be its brightness at 50 volts? Now, we are already guided with the dependent and independent variable. So here we have the brightness of a light bulb, and here voltage. Now, so you could just write it with B, and for voltage as V. Oops, V. Okay, so base here, B is directly proportional to V, or B varies directly as V. So we have here B equals KV. The value of brightness as it shines. Okay, the bulb shines with 80 units of brightness. So let us highlight this. 80 units of brightness with or at 20 volts. So these are the values of B and V. So I write it, or we substitute the values. So for B, we have 80 equals K times 20. So divide both sides by 20 in order for our K to have a coefficient of 1. So cancel. So you have K here, and 80 divided by 20 is 4. And this is the value of our constant. Now, given that we have our K here as 4, and what is being asked is what will be its brightness, and we have another given for the second part of the problem, which is 50 volts. So for V, we have 50, and for B is what we are looking for. Now B equals 4 times 50, and we have here 4 times 50 is 200. So based on the problem, what we are looking for is 200 units of brightness. Problem number 4. A group of workers is paid based on the number of hours they work, and the payment varies directly with time. If 6 hours of work earns 1,200 pesos, how many hours will they need to work to earn 4,800? Now, based on this, we are given with the independent and dependent variables. So here, the payment is dependent with time. So if we are to write this, we could, instead of using y, so we could write p for payment, and for time is t. So based on this, we could write p is equal to kt. And the given value here for time is 6 hours, and for the payment or salary or earning is 1,200. So all we need to do with this is to substitute the values. So for P is 1,200 is equal to K times 6. Now, divide both sides by 6. So for K, we have it here. So 1,200 divided by 6 is 200. And this is the value of our constant. Oops. Of our constant. And we have, let's write the given values. So K is 200, P and T. Based on the second part of the problem, how many hours will they need to earn 4,800? So the payment is given. So we have 4,800, and T this time is missing. So writing the form again, we have P equals KT. The value of P is 4,800. The value of K is 200, and T, 200T. So divide both sides by 200 to cancel 200 as the coefficient of T. So cancel, cancel. And the value of T, as we divide 4,800 divided by 200 is 24. That means they will need 24 hours in order to earn 4,800 pesos. Problem number 5. The number of mangoes, M, that Carlo buys varies directly with the money he spends. If 10 mangoes cost 100 pesos, how many mangoes can he buy with 250 pesos? Now here it is easy for us to know the variables we're going to use. For mangoes, we have here M, and of course for the cost is C. Now, and the first thing here, sorry, let's have color red. Cost. So for the cost here, so we have 100 pesos, and for the number of mangoes that Carlo buys is 10. So we could write it this way, having the form of, again, C, or the cost is dependent to the number of mangoes being bought. So we have here C equals KM. Now, the value of C is 100 pesos equals K times the number of mangoes in the first part is 10. So divide both sides by 10. So cancel 10 here, because again, we need a coefficient of K to only be 1. And 100 divided by 10 is 10. And this is our constant. Now, given our constant here for 10, and we have C and M. So for C, we have in the second part, so it is here, 250 pesos. Now, this time we are looking for the number of mangoes. So 250, and M is missing. So using the form again, so we have C equals KM. So the cost for this one is 250 pesos equals K, which is 10, and M. Or you could just write 10M. So divide both sides by 10. Cancel. So we are left with M for mangoes. And 250 divided by 10 is 25. That means there should be 25, or there are 25 mangoes worth 250 pesos. And that ends our discussion for today.